Hello and welcome to Eric's Chase Grid Talk, episode number 12. Today it's me, Eric, talking to you as always. Today I will be answering a couple questions and previewing this weekend's race. Sunday afternoon will be from Talladega. I'll be talking about that race and all the excitement and drama we expect to see there this weekend, as it is the second elimination race of the Chase, as we will be down to, we'll go from 12 to 8 drivers after Sunday's race, and it'll be interesting. Anything can still happen at Talladega, so guys that are on the outside now, good chance they could still be in it by the end of this thing. So, yeah. Updates for me, little plugs, if you will. I got W Cup Series Season 5 race number 7 from Talladega as well. Just happened to work out that way. I'm doing Talladega at the same time. It will be out. I'm looking at it'll be out next week sometime. I'm about halfway done filming it. I'll get a lot of it done this weekend. I'll probably be close to finishing it this weekend. So look forward to that in the next week or so. What I'm planning on doing right now is I have that video. I have a Halloween video that'll be up hopefully in the next couple weeks. I have a NASCAR parody. I want to make a Halloween NASCAR parody that I may. It's in the works. I'm thinking about making it. I don't know if it's going to actually materialize into anything, but I want to do that. The only reason it may not is because I'm trying to focus and finish the W Cup Series here, because I want to make sure I want to get these last 2 races done before the Sprint Cup season ends. So I want to get this series done before November, before the first week in November is kind of when I want to get this thing done. And so yeah, once I finish with W Cup Series Season 5, I'm gonna take at least a month or so off, and I'll be working on some NASCAR parodies and some other stuff then. So Talladega will be up in a few days. The Sprint Cup race at Talladega will be also in a few days, Sunday afternoon. So let's get to talking about that. I have some questions, I think. I'm looking at the video now, see if I have any questions. A lot of comments I got were all related to, of course, the incidents after the race last Saturday night between Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, all those guys. So I didn't get a lot of questions. A lot of the comments I got were related to that. So I did get a few. So I'll answer the first one I see here. This first question comes from Jay Lesane, and he asks, how many big ones do you think will be at Talladega? Well, if you're new to NASCAR, you'll know that the big one, as it sounds, refers to a giant crash, which are very common at Talladega. At Daytona happen at least basically once a race. You'll get 10 or 12 or more cars involved. At Daytona in July, we had a 16-car wreck and then later on a 26-car wreck. So to answer your question, Mr. Lesane, I'd say 2. There's going to be 2 big ones at Talladega. I think they're both. There'll be 2 big wrecks, that both of which probably involve at least 10 cars. I don't think they'll be crazy. I don't think it's gonna be a wreck fest. I honestly think they're gonna keep it relatively clean. I think of the other 3 plate tracks we've raced at so far this year, I think this will be the cleanest race. But I don't know. In the end, I think it's going to come down to a lot of people wanting a lot of positions, especially the last 20 laps or so, when everyone kind of has a feel for where everyone's running and where they are in terms of points. If it comes down to Jimmy Johnson sitting there in 5th place and he knows he has a chance to win this race in advance, because that's basically what he's got to do at this point, we might see some stuff happen because Jimmy's going to be on a prowl. Same with Brad Keselowski or Dale Jr. or any of those other guys. Depending on where they are late in the race, it's going to determine how they run. So I'd expect at least 1 or 2 pretty big wrecks. I'm expecting. I mean, you can't expect anything. You can never know what to expect at Talladega. Anything can happen and really fast. Anything at all. And yeah, it's gonna be a epic race. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see. I gotta look around for more comments and stuff. All right, here's a question. This one's from Dimitri Mondros. He asks, do you think Keselowski, Kenseth, or Hamlin will have an issue at Talladega? If you do you think other championship contenders will get caught up in it? Well, here's one thing I want to kind of preface or preface, however you say that word. Everyone's questioning, everyone's wondering, oh, is there going to be payback between those guys? Because they're all kind of on each other. None of them like each other. Yes, I think those guys. Let me put it this way. I don't think there will be any payback this year. The only guys that I think might get mad at each other are Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. I think Kenseth and Keselowski are done with each other. I don't think they're going to mess with each other anymore the rest of the season. As for Hamlin and Keselowski, I would not be surprised if one of them wrecked the other at Martinsville next week. I don't expect any retaliation in any way, shape, or form here at Talladega this weekend for the reason, Dimitri, in your second part of your comment, the fact that other championship contenders could get caught up in it, and that's kind of what everyone's wanting to avoid. Because let's be realistic, if Brad Keselowski goes up and runs into the back of Kenseth or the other way around and wrecks half a dozen other cars, those half a dozen other cars are going to be freaking mad at whoever caused that, at either Kenseth or Keselowski, whoever causes that wreck. So, I think all three of those guys know that if they are caught retaliating this weekend, there's going to be a lot of other drivers mad at them because this is not, everyone knows this is not the place to retaliate. The worst I could see any of them doing is potentially if, like, late in the race, Matt Kenseth is in second place and he jumps out of line to try and take the lead and Brad Keselowski's in third. Keselowski may not jump out there and help Kenseth. That's the worst I could see. I don't think he would, like, go up there and, like, spin him out or anything ridiculous like that. I just, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they were like, yeah, I'm not going to go help that guy. I'm going to leave him out there and see what happens. That's the worst you'll see at Talladega. Everyone knows that Martinsville is 2 weeks from now, so if anyone wants to get anyone back, it'll be there. But like I said, I don't think there's going to be any retaliation. I feel like everyone got an equal amount of shots in. I mean, Keselowski wrecked everyone's cars. Kenseth was able to tackle Keselowski, so he put him down. So I think at this point, everyone's pretty much even. The only guy that isn't even, and that's what I mentioned, is Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, I mean, he got his car wrecked. I feel like Hamlin didn't necessarily get a chance to do anything to Keselowski after the race. So, like I said, if anyone was to retaliate at Martinsville in a couple weeks, I wouldn't be super shocked if Denny Hamlin gives Keselowski a little bump. At Martinsville earlier this year, Keselowski and Kurt Busch got mad at each other, and I remember they were running into each other down the back straightaway. So Keselowski's got a knack for getting into trouble at Martinsville. Talladega, there will not be any retaliation. Here's a video I got, or not a video, sorry, not a video, a comment I got from MC Drake 89, and I don't even really know why I'm answering this question. His question is NASCAR rigged? I just watched a video, and you should watch it and tell me what you think. Okay, I don't know what video you watched. The video that everyone's seen of NASCAR drivers wrecking each other after the race and stuff. And here's the thing, is NASCAR rigged? No, NASCAR is not. If you're trying to say that NASCAR rigged this fight, no, they are not. There's no way. How could you possibly? I'm a Matt Kenseth fan. I was listening to Matt Kenseth's race, his audio. I have the race view thing. I was listening to Matt Kenseth's audio for the full race, and everything that he said, I mean, there's nothing in there that could possibly be rigged. I don't even know why anyone would think that NASCAR is rigged. I think if anything is rigged, it's the NBA, and I think everyone knows that it's been rigged before. They've had problems in the past with referees bidding on games and stuff like that. So yeah, the NBA is rigged. NASCAR is not rigged. Now, occasionally NASCAR might throw a questionable caution to help certain drivers out. That I could possibly believe. But no, the fight and everything that happened there the other night, there's no way. No, that wasn't rigged at all. I'm scrolling down. That's a stupid question. Next question I have here from Derek Poch, I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm sorry. He asks, who do you think will be the underdog for the championship? I answered this question, I kind of like gave my prediction for that a while back. I think it was like one of the first couple of episodes. And it's changed. I think I mean, obviously with the way the chase is looking, I mean, Keselowski and Johnson are no longer the favorites to win the title, just after a couple of weeks. So obviously I think the underdog has changed as well. I'll be honest, Ryan Newman is a very big underdog right now. I mean, he's gotten top 10s these first two races of this second round, and he's in a very good position to where he just has to run pretty well and kind of try to avoid trouble at Talladega, and he'll advance, no problem, which can be hard to do, so I'm not saying anything there. But I've been impressed with Ryan Newman. I mean, he was one of the guys that made the chase on points. He was like, I think he actually finished, if you looked at his numbers, he was in the top 10 in total points at the end of the year, but since he had no wins, he ended up being like the 15th seed or something like that. Same with Matt Kenseth, you know how, like, and who was the other guy that had no wins that advanced? Oh my goodness, was it Biffle? Biffle was the other guy that advanced with no wins. Those three guys, if you looked at them in points, they actually were pretty high up there in points. They just didn't have very, very good wins. At least that was the case for Newman and Kenseth. So Ryan Newman has quietly run really well in this chase. He's not leading laps, and that's the only reason I think he may not win the championship, because you can get through this whole chase, the first 3 rounds, you can get through it by just getting top 10, top 10, top 10, and that's what Newman's doing. But if you want to win the championship, you got to go out to Homestead and have a top 5, if not a winning race car. But no, I think Newman's got a very good chance of winning this championship, I'd say. But and just nobody's talking about him. There's consistently going out there. I mean, he spun out last weekend. Let's not forget that. He even got caught up in Danica Patrick and Joey Logano's business, and he spun out, but did a good job, kept it off the wall, and that team bounced back and got him a top 10 finish. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like Ryan Newman is a very big underdog. I think coming into the chase, nobody had him. Like even Newman fans themselves probably didn't have him winning the championship. But the way things are stacking up now, he's right up in there. And I mean, there's plenty of drivers since like I said, Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski have had their issues in this round. That's allowed a few guys like Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch and Casey Kane and Ryan Newman like that to kind of step up and fill those spots. I mean, obviously Logano and Harvick are still running well, but a lot of these other spots, even Jeff Gordon's running pretty well, I guess. But these other guys it's been giving them this opportunity to fill these spots. I mean, most people probably had Newman and Edwards and even probably Kyle Busch or somebody getting eliminated this round. And here they are well inside the top 8, more than likely going to advance unless something catastrophic happens at Talladega. I mean, I just don't think anyone really expected it. And it's helped them out immensely, but they've earned it at the same time. Like I said, I mean, you keep getting top 10 finishes, you deserve to advance. Let's see. Okay, here's a question from Dakota Lee. He actually asked kind of 2 questions in this. His first one, he asked, he asked, what chase drivers do you think will be involved in one or more big ones, and who do you think will survive? He has a second question. I'll get to that in a second. To answer that question, I mean, it's really, you can't answer this question because I don't know. I mean, I mentioned, I mean, you got to look at some of the best plate racers. I think Dale Jr. is a really good plate racer at Talladega. Matt Kenseth has proven himself the last couple of years. He's been a very good plate racer. I'd say Jimmy Johnson's good too. I mean, he's had his moments where he doesn't look that great, but in general, I'd say he's a very good plate racer. Jeff Gordon's very good. But all these guys that I just mentioned wrecked at Daytona in July. So obviously, you can have a really good car, be running up front, and still get caught up in other people's business. So, I mean, I think everyone, not everyone, but I think there will be at least 6 or 7 chasers that get involved in some sort of accident, and I mean some minor, possibly some major, enough to like knock them out of the race. But a lot of people, they may just spin out, get a little bit of damage here and there. It's gonna be, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be a wreck fest like some people I think are, but I am expecting there to be at least one big wreck, and if you can get through the big wrecks, you'll be okay. And there's just no way to predict that. It's in the end, it's just kind of luck. Dakota's second question is, who have you been shocked by this chase with their performance, whether it was good or bad? I've been shocked, honestly, with Joey Logano's chase performance. I knew that team was obviously good, and I thought they were possibly good enough to make it to the Final Four, but I wasn't really 100% sure. I had them advancing into at least the next round, but I didn't actually. I don't have them I didn't, in past tense, I didn't have them advancing into the Final Four. Now I probably would, especially with the troubles that Jimmy and Brad have had. But, yeah, the 22 team, I knew they'd be good. I thought they'd win maybe a chase race and, you know, advance and stuff. But they've been banging out top 5s and top 10s and a couple of wins here in just the first 5 races. I mean, they've been very strong. Strongest I've ever seen Joey Logano in his career. And, I mean, it's just... They've been really good, and I don't know. I mean, with Brad Keselowski, if he gets eliminated after this race at Talladega, I don't know how that's going to affect Logano. If it at all will, it might actually make him better because then Penske will be focusing all their attention on Logano instead of kind of splitting it even between him and Brad. So I don't know. That might even mean that Keselowski gets better. Yeah, I mean, Joey Logano's been very good. The guy, I guess, that's been disappointing, had a disappointing chase performance, in my opinion, would probably have to be Casey Kane. And I know nobody really came into this thinking Casey Kane was going to win the title or anything, but he came in, you know, riding a pretty good wave of momentum. He got that win at Atlanta just 2 races before the chase. That was like big for them because things weren't looking necessarily very good for him until that win, and so that was huge. But I just felt like he's run well a couple of races in this chase, but he's had problems. He's had some wrecks. He's just, I don't know. I've been a little disappointed with the 5 teams' performance. I mean, right now he's 8th in points, but he's like 1 point to the good, so he's basically like right on the bubble. And it's going to take a good race at Talladega, and he has not had luck at these plate tracks in recent years. Feels like he's always getting caught up in something. So I've been a little disappointed with Casey Kane, because I think a lot of people, including me, thought he would run better. They were on an upward turn, I guess. They were starting to get better as the season was coming to an end, and yeah, they kind of hit a wall. And some of it wasn't even their fault. Some of it, like I said, getting caught up in wrecks or little things like that. You know, it's just not a lot you can do. I mean, it's too bad, but I don't think Kane's going to advance to the next round. I'm afraid. I think he will get involved in something, and I don't know. I just don't think he's never been that good at these plate tracks. I wouldn't expect him to dominate this race or anything like that. He still win. I mean, it's just a plate track. I'm not going to count him out, but I'm just saying he wouldn't be on the top of my list. So that's all the questions I'm going to be answering, I guess. I don't see that many others. A lot of them kind of are either really specific or kind of I already answered them. Anyway, only other thing I wanted to talk about really quick was penalties were announced for the drivers involved in that Charlotte incident. They announced the penalties on Tuesday. And Brad Keselowski was fined $50,000 and put on probation for 4 races. Tony Stewart was fined $25,000 and placed on probation for 4 races. Matt Kenseth and Denny Hamlin got away. They did not get any penalties whatsoever. And I'll be honest, I feel bad for doubting NASCAR because coming into before they made those rulings, I was expecting, I was already bracing myself for some really dumb penalties that made no sense. But I actually have to pat them on the back. I think that these penalties were very good, made perfect sense. I think you got to fine Brad Keselowski a lot of money because he was clearly the instigator in just about all the incidents that happened the other night. And you know, Tony Stewart, I wish they hadn't. I mean, deep down, I kind of feel like, or on the surface, I feel like Tony Stewart shouldn't have been penalized because what he did was just kind of like, you know, Tony Stewart business, I guess. But deep down, I think I know that what he did was wrong. It was definitely uncalled for. It was not necessary for him to get involved, and I understand why they fined Tony Stewart. The one thing I'm glad that nobody got docked any points. That was the biggest thing I was worried about. I don't think NASCAR had that in mind necessarily. But I was going to be like, I mean, I feel like in the chase like this, if they were to dock guys like Brad Keselowski or Matt Kenseth points at this point, I think that would have just been ridiculous to basically jeopardize their whole season because of this little stupid incident. So I'm glad they didn't dock any points. Money, everyone, I mean, it sounds stupid, but Brad Keselowski, $50,000, they're going to get over that. That's not that big of a blow to them, which could be bad because, you know, because now that in the end you're really not teaching anyone a lesson. NASCAR did the right thing because they benefited big time from all the fights and stuff that broke out. I mean, you look on YouTube, the video on NASCAR's YouTube channel has almost 500,000 views in just a couple of days, and it's just a video of Matt Kenseth tackling Brad Keselowski. So, you know, it gives NASCAR publicity, and these days that's what NASCAR really needs because it doesn't have the fan base that football or basketball has right now. And you can just see it with sponsors. They lose sponsors every year. It feels like I remember 10 years ago, you'd have guys sponsor. You'd have every car basically had one sponsor, all 36 races. You know, there was like very few. You didn't have guys switching paint schemes out that often because NASCAR was making enough money that businesses would pay to advertise all over those cars. Now this year, I mean, I feel like Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s had like 6 different paint schemes this year because they don't have one full-time sponsor because nobody can afford it anymore. Because there's just not enough money right now. I mean, I guess it's just things like that. So NASCAR really benefits from this, you know, free advert, like big time public stuff like this, like what happened at Charlotte. And I think that honestly, they fined Brad Keselowski and stuff for being dangerous. But in the end, if he did the same thing next week, NASCAR in the back of their minds would kind of be glad because they know that it would create a lot more publicity and a lot more attention to their sport. So that's all I have on this week's show, or on, I guess, you know, today's show. I do 2 a week. I'll be back on, what is it, Monday. Monday will be the day I review the Talladega race, and then Thursday, of course, I'll be back for more stuff. Looking forward to this weekend's race. I think it's going to be really intense. I mean, you could go from leading the race, your guy looking like he's going to win it in advance, to suddenly he's in 30th place with a torn-up race car and dreams shattered. So it has the potential to be a very happy day at the end of it, or a very disappointing day, depending on who your favorite driver is. Definitely going to shake up the standings a lot. It'll be interesting to see who moves on and who doesn't. And I'm looking forward to the next round of the chase. I think the next round is the round that will really see who the legitimate championship contenders are. Because we go to a short track, we go to an intermediate track, and we go to kind of a mild track, you know, a good mix. So I think we'll definitely see who some of the strongest teams are. And I guess that's all I have for this week's show. I'll see you guys later.